Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Geek Talk, giving entrepreneurs expert knowledge. My name is Sabrina Lowery, and I am affectionately known as the Tech Evangelist. And I will be your host on this yet another episode of Geek Talk. This is an exciting day, everyone. I have so many wonderful things to share with all of you. Let's just make sure that our audience is tuned in, that we are crossing all of the airways. Let's give everybody an opportunity to make sure that they are checking in. Let's make sure that you are tagging your business bestie, telling them that we are live. A little behind the scenes action with my Instagram followers. And I am going to make sure that everybody is in tune with what our conversation will be this evening with our very special guest. So, if this is your first time tuning into Geek Talk and you have yet to hear about the things that I do, the things that I serve, the places I go, let me just tell you a little bit. If you are an entrepreneur and you are growing a business, if you are in corporate America and you're looking to start a business, if you are in corporate and you are an executive leader and you're looking for your exit strategy, this is the show for you. So, again, GEEK is an acronym for Giving Entrepreneurs Expert Knowledge. And I want you all to know that we invite special subject matter experts on topics such as technology, leadership, legacy, wealth building, and so much more. And so tonight's featured guest is none other than a very special friend of mine. I am going to pull up her bio, start this conversation, and make sure that you all are connected. So give me just one moment. I want to make sure that everyone is pushing through on our stream. Let's get this content going. Let's get this content going. All right, here we go. This is what I wanted to see. All right, so let's push this on over to the personal pages. Everybody, tag your business bestie, call them, tell them. We are live right now with another episode of Geek Talk. So let's get these notifications going. Here we go. We got the live stream going. Let's go ahead and push that on over. And there we have it. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure that you are all the way tuned in. So let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, let me tag you, Christal. I'm tagging you, sis. We are live. Okay, let's make sure everybody tag, go, invite, share. That is what we are doing right now. Okay, so Geek Talk. We like it live because we want the audience to know how engagement matters at times like this, right? All right, with our special guest at Christal. Let's tag her in. I got you, sis, tagged in, and let's share. So, everybody on Facebook, let's make sure that you are tuned in and sharing. Everybody on LinkedIn, let's make sure you are tuned in and sharing. Everybody on YouTube, hey, y'all, let's make sure you are tuned in and sharing. All right, are you ready, sis? I see you backstage. All right, give me a thumbs up. All right, we are ready. Let's do this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our very special featured guest, none other than Christal J. Rice. She is grounded in her faith, and Christal lives by the principle to whom much is given, much is required. She believes her life experiences were divinely orchestrated to inspire, to uplift, and to empower others. Through her story, she continues to encourage individuals to overcome adversity, embrace purpose, and pursue excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome my sister friend, my best selling co author for the Ladies in Tech and Friends Volume 4 book anthology series, Christal J. Rice. Welcome to Geek Talk.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Christal. So we read your bio, but I always like to kick off the show and ask my guests to tell me something about you that your bio did not, and then tell us what is your superpower.
Girl, you love that question. What my bio did not say is basically the way you start is not the way you have to finish. My start, I say I'm a survivor. If I had to say what my superpower was, that would be surviving, as well as being able to put things in order, organizing. And you and I have talked about that. But I was born to two parents, third child, back in the 70s, and I was born with what we call look like stillborn. So I'm an example and a miracle to say that how you start is not how you have to finish. So that's what my bio did not say.
Yes, yes. I love that so much. And I also
Mhm.
know that you are a multifaceted, multi talented young lady. And so, even though I gave a short and brief description of your bio, I want you to take us back, right? Let's go back to Crystal 1.0 and then bring the people into the new version. All right. So let's give a little bit about your history and tell everyone where you started your career.
Okay. My career started. I was a teen mom. That's first and foremost. I was a teen mom, but I was an honor student, and I was on the forensics and debate team. And I had always loved technology, always wanted to be in technology. But when I had my son, I had to pivot because I really wanted to start out in what we know as aerospace engineering. And at the time, there was not a school in South Carolina. So with my son, I had to pivot. So I went to tech school and I majored in engineering technology. But my career started in telecommunications back in the early 2000s. And from there, I moved very quickly with the telecommunications company, six different positions, two different states. And when I left, I was the number one customer service from a customer service perspective, not in the call center, not in the state, but in the region. So I moved on, and from telecommunications, I moved into software development and data warehousing before we even knew what data warehousing really was back in 2009. And then I bridged on over to healthcare. And healthcare is where I say I found my rhythm from a system analytics perspective, and did that for a couple years in two or three different hospitals. And then I moved on to banking, and then I moved on to healthcare insurance. And that's where, when the industry took a hit, I ended up experiencing a layoff. And from there, then we moved on, and there was old COVID, right? And so then I moved on to procurement, and right now I'm working for a construction company. So I'm a lady in tech and construction, twofold in accordance to the book that we both co-authored and you forwarded. Ladies working in dominated industries that were not designed for us. So right now I'm doing a twofold, and I'm on the business side of IT. Kind of on the downward spiral after 23 years, just kind of doing the business side, the financials, and things like that.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm backstage trying to check on our LinkedIn. For some reason, the stream is going in and out. So I was trying to push that manually. We will make sure that that replay is reposted and reshared so our audience gets all of the juicy nuggets, right? So no worries. Technology will do its thing, and
It's
that's
gonna
why
do
we
its thing.
record live. But that's what we are here. Let's just give a moment to shout out to everyone that is tuning into our live stream, those that might catch the broadcast on the replay across all your favorite platforms. As you can see, for those that are not watching us full broadcast, that would be on YouTube, that would be on Facebook, on Spotify, Instagram, behind the scenes over there. You are now streaming on Podbeam. And then you're on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. All right. That is Geek Talk, the acronym. Make sure you put that G.E.E.K and it'll come right up in the search. So let's get you some geek talk in your life and save that playlist. All right, Christal, let's continue our conversation.
Okay.
Let's talk about through your journey. Let's talk about your desire to lead in tech because there are different avenues in our
Mhm,
tech careers. There are
mhm,
some that are highly technical, and there
mhm.
are some tech roles that don't require a technical skill whatsoever. So,
Correct.
when you think about our industry, what are the most important qualities to cultivate in order to be successful?
In terms of leadership, you have to have, I always say, you have to have a heart to serve. Leadership is not about being in charge. If you are not willing to serve those you lead, then you don't need to be in leadership. Leadership is about serving those you lead, right? And it's good to have the title, but every now and then you got to be able to get in there with your people. So, say for instance, if everybody's sick, you've got to be in there able to get in there with your people. So I think a lot of times we want to take our hands off when we become leaders, and that's totally the opposite to me. You got to be ready to put your hands on, because you're there to foster, you're there to mentor, you're not just there to dictate and to get delegate. So it's about servitude when I think about leadership.
Yeah, that's also true. I also tell people a lot of time that you might be a great leader of yourself as a manager and team of one. But once you start bringing others into the ring to play in your sandbox, it gets to be a little
Mhm.
bit different. So you've got to know your superpower.
It do.
You've got to know
It
when
do.
you are strong. And then if you are not a strong leader, then you might
Mhm.
just may not be fit for that managerial role. There are other leadership roles that you can lead without feeling like you are
Correct.
managing a team. Yes. So let's clip that. So, Christal, let's talk about this here. The biggest trends right now. We know there are so many
Correct.
trends in our
Absolutely.
IT industry. So, tell me, what are you seeing right now? What are you seeing to be the biggest trends in our tech industry, in our journey to leadership? What should the people be focusing on?
Ooh, being comfortable with technology. We work in it every day, so it becomes second nature. Something new becomes second nature. We can use instinct, but I think being comfortable, even in 2026, we know the internet is what, over 30 plus years old, right? But even with the evolution of cell phones, even with the evolution of Apple, you have people who are terrified of technology, and the danger in that, Sabrina, is that it's not going anywhere. It's only going to continue to evolve. So even from our youth, I work with youth, and we may get into that as an entrepreneur. I work with youth in church. And so it's one of those things where you as a parent had what age is a good age to introduce your children to technology. To introduce your children to technology from young to old. It's not being afraid, it's just being disciplined and knowing how to use it. So I would say
Yes.
still in 2026, what we need to be focusing on right now is getting comfortable with it and getting comfortable with AI and where it is going.
So I want to do something for you and for our guest, Christal. I would like for us to just take a moment and have you go backstage. We might want to
Mhm.
check our bandwidth on our stream because you are coming in a little bit choppy and unclear. I do not want our audience to miss anything that you are saying. The great thing about a podcast is there is the audible version, right? So I don't want them to even miss that. If that requires you to come out of the studio and come back in, I would like to give you grace in order to do so because I don't want you to miss this opportunity. All right. So let's give our guest a little bit of grace so we can check the technology where she's streaming from. You never know, these storms are passing through our area and our region. So, Christal, whenever you are ready, just give me a 10 count and then we will start back our conversation. Thank you all so much for your patience. I want my guest to make sure that she is able to be seen and heard clearly. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we have this live broadcast, okay? And you will be able to catch the replay and the recording on your favorite podcast platforms. So we want to just give our guests an opportunity to reset. And that is the blessing of the program. We want you to take the time that you need, Christal, and then we'll just continue our conversation. So in the meantime, this is a perfect segue. So let's clip that. I'd love to have a conversation with our audience before we bring our guests back in. And this is a public service announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you are not aware, for those of us Cobb County residents, the Cobb County tax assessors statements have gone out. They are in the mail. And I don't know about you and what county you may live in, but you better be looking because I want to tell you a few tax tips and your guide to appealing a property tax bill. So, first and foremost, property taxes, known as ad valorem taxes, are the primary source funding for the local government and school systems in each area of Georgia. Property taxes are based on an assessed value, which is 40% of the January 1st of the current year's fair market value. The tax commissioner's office was established by the Georgia Constitution and is responsible for every phase of collecting ad valorem property taxes. They collect tax on real property, personal property, mobile homes, motor vehicles, heavy duty equipment, public utilities, timber, and those tax bills are mailed out each year by August 15th, and payments are due by October 15th. So you should go, if you are a Cobb County, Georgia resident, to cobbtax.gov, where they do allow you to pay online. But here are a few additional pieces of information in this brochure that I want you to remember as you are reading your tax bills. So, number one is about the appeal process. If your tax assessment notice for real property is a value that you disagree with, appeals must be filed in writing to the tax assessor's office within 45 days of the date of the assessment notice or the denial of a homestead or other exemption. You may file an exemption application on its own along with an appeal or instead of appealing a property assessment. So I want you all to know this because I looked at my tax bill and it is absolutely incorrect. I will be disputing these values. I want you all to know the inflated values post COVID or what have you. You need to review your tax bills. And if you go on the website, you can go to assessor.cobbcounty.gov, look at your property tax information. All of that information is public record. And then look at your exemptions, look at those values, see if you qualify for any of those things. And then if you wish to go through that appeal process, then you might want to get a little bit of assistance from a professional. If you need a copy of a property valuation report, then you can contact me. Remember, I am a licensed broker in the state of Georgia, and it would be my pleasure to assist you. So just think about this. These are tax facts. This is not just happening in Cobb County, Georgia. This may be in your area. So if that information is helpful to you and you like it, give me a thumbs up, a heart, a like in the comments. Let me know a thank you, and you're welcome. So that's the end of my public service announcement. Let's check on our guests backstage and see if we can continue our conversation on Geek Talk. Here we go. Christal, are you with me?
I am with you.
Perfect. I can see you. I can hear you without any issues. And so let's continue our conversation, shall we? We were talking
Shall.
about those qualities that we need to have in order to be successful, and those biggest trending skills that we need in our industry today. You were mentioning about working with the youth and some of the skills that you are instilling in them. Will you continue to talk about that to our audience?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's basically just getting youth are comfortable. Youth are they're comfortable with technology, almost too comfortable because they have the innate ability to learn very, very quickly. But my concern is having the parents understand everything you think your child is doing in technology or on those cell phones or on their devices, they're doing a little bit more than that. And it's just actually educating the youth on being safe. Because as I stated before I went backstage, it's not going anywhere. It's only going to evolve. So we can't escape it. We can't shelter them from it in its entirety for the rest of their life. But when you, the parent, deem that it's of an appropriate age, again, they're using it in preschool, they're using it in daycare, they're using it in elementary school. So it's like anything else. You have to prepare them for it and teach them how to use it. And then stay up on the trends. Google is your best friend. Stay up on the trends, find you there's different technology links and virtual magazines that you can subscribe to where you're staying up on the trends to know what is out there on the black web that they might be getting into, what is out there that they might be looking at under incognito. And they do know how to use incognito, trust me. But the main thing is what I'm seeing right now, Sabrina, is the AI. Of course, you and I both know artificial intelligence and the ability to differentiate from virtual world from reality, and just educating the parents so that they can educate their youth. That is the biggest thing I'm seeing right now, and it actually concerns me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I truly believe that there are ways and methods for us to train them, right? So,
Mhm.
as a new adjunct professor who will begin my role in the fall, I am going to be using AI in a manner that will support the learning journey. And I'll
Mhm.
give you an example. If I had to learn some terms, I will be teaching real estate. There are a large amount of terms that they will need to learn. If
Mhm.
I can teach my students how to use AI to create note cards using a platform called Notebook LM by Google, yes, I'm going to allow them to use AI in their learning journey. I'm not going to deny them access, but it's a matter of me teaching the
That's
tool
it.
in the ethical
That's it.
way so that
That's
they
right.
can be successful. And then
That is
guess what? That's a transferable skill that they can apply in
that's
any
it.
other facet of
That's it.
their learning journey.
That's it. And teaching them that AI does expand past Chat GPT. My goodness.
Yeah, that is correct. And that is why I mentioned something other than the chat GPT. Okay, because there are other tools. So this is great, Christal. I really appreciate you talking about your ministry work and your leadership there. So let's transition our conversation, okay? And
Okay.
so let's talk about what led you to become active in the ministry, but then transition into the leadership in the ministry, leading that Texas?
Um, my foundation is, God first, right? And so I think because I've always worked in the corporate setting in technology, and then on the other side, I've always worked with youth in church, outside of church. I say I always end up with a work child, if you will, somebody on my job that's younger than me that kind of takes to me. It just became my natural innate ability to merge the two just through conversation, just to as I was raising my son, I really got heavy into ministry. I always say he morphed my path because he was my only child. And so with him being an only child, me being a single parent, I was always up on what the trends were, what he was into. And I can remember just when MySpace came out, and I used to watch Nightline with How to Catch a Predator. And we would go to the library because we didn't have a computer at home. And one day he said, "Can I get on MySpace?" And I said, "No." He was like in sixth grade. I was like, "No, no, no, no." And then you just said, "You know what? Let me calm myself. Let me get on MySpace and see what it was about." MySpace was the early version of what we know as Facebook and social media. And come to find out, he figured out a way to get on MySpace. And I figured out then, okay, these kids are gonna figure out what they need to do. So with that kind of just led me, and he always had friends around, and just getting in conversation with them to see what they knew, what they thought they knew that was incorrect, and just basically taking it from there and then spinning it off into teaching my kids at church about netiquette, your digital presence. What you do is going to follow you, and we're seeing that now more than ever. And this was taking you back 2012, before netiquette was what we know it to be today. So just educating them, y'all. Don't be online doing XYZ. Don't be on these sites talking to strangers. Don't be on these video games playing virtually and doing different things. So that's what it kind of just happened.
Yeah, yeah.
That,
And I do the same type of digital credibility, digital
mhm.
citizenship
Yep.
workshops is
Mhm.
what mine is called. And so when we are teaching the youth about cybersecurity, about identity safety, about their whole profile being online and
Mhm.
what that virtual world looks like and how their identity can be stolen, I want to give you a little bit of a testimonial. So there is a trend going on in our area where Domino's pizzas are being delivered to our home without us ordering pizzas. So
Mhm.
they basically cloned a profile from our child off of one of the gaming platforms or what have you. And now they're going on to the pizza delivery sites. And because the pizza company is so dumb that they allow cash payments on delivery instead of verifying and taking credit cards for payments,
Mhm.
the pizza is getting delivered to somebody's home after 9, 10 o'clock at night when
Wow.
someone did not order, waking me up out of my sleep, ringing my doorbell. I'm looking on my camera like, why is there a
Wow.
pizza delivery order at my door this time of night? Okay, so that is another piece that we want to teach our children in
Mhm.
these gaming platforms. They're sharing screens without realizing how much of their screen they're sharing, what's
Mhm.
in the background, and people are screenshotting. It's so many layers and levels to this digital citizenship.
It is
So
absolutely.
what I hear us both saying is that we will be offering some virtual trainings for these students
Mhm.
probably in the near future so that
Mhm.
they can get this digital citizenship badge, get their credentials, learn how to stay safe online and protect their identity.
And to that, Sabrina, I want to offer it not just to the kids, to the parents. I was privy to a parent recently. She has an only child, and she heard him in his room. She said, "Who you talking to?" "Oh, I'm talking to AI." And my stomach just dropped. And she said, I heard her say it to somebody else again. My stomach dropped. But what I did not hear her say is that I sat him down to educate him that AI is not real. And what bothered me is that I didn't hear that, but then I realized she doesn't even know how to explain it to him, what AI is, what that virtual world is. Because as you know, just like that trend, in the mental health industry, they're starting to tie a lot of mental health issues that our young people are experiencing to artificial intelligence, because a lot of them, like him, he's an only child. So what is he looking for? A way to connect, right? And he's doing it the way that they most are doing it. He's in front of a screen, be it on his video game or his cell phone or his iPad. And so to him, he's talking to AI. And I thought, that's scary to me. But
Mhm.
a lot of times the parents lack the education, so the children are gonna lack the education.
Mhm. That's right. That's right. So, what I want us to
Hmm.
do is let's make sure that when we put this information out to the public, that the people know how to get in touch with us. So, Christal, I want you to do a little bit of some screen sharing and some conversation. I'm going to do some screen share in the background so we can pull up your website and you can tell the people all about the things that you do and what you offer and who you do it for. All right, let me pull that up. I'm tagging you now and share. Here we go. Present. There we go. There you go, Christal. So I would invite you to just share with everyone your products, your services, and how they should connect with you.
Okay. I am the owner. Outside of working in technology, I am a serial entrepreneur. My brand is New Dimension Enterprises LLC, where we are the brand with options. What New Dimension Enterprise LLC comprised of is multiple businesses. Where as a life coach of the Great Spot Life Coaching Academy, I infuse cognitive behavioral therapy, which simply says God gives us everything we need on the inside for the things that we desire to manifest on the outside. And I fuse that with image consulting, goal setting, career building. I have a career readiness program that I'm doing for those who are transitioning from college to corporate America, teaching them how to search for jobs, teaching them to identify what they want to do, where they want to do it, where they want to live, and then moving on to helping them create a resume that is going to attract the attention of the employers that they say they desire to work for. That's under the Gray Spot Life Coaching Academy. And then I have the Glam Bar makeup artistry and design, where I take those cognitive behavioral therapy skills that I help you hone in on, and then I teach you on how to perfect that image so that inner image can manifest on the outside. Teaching skincare, teaching makeup application, teaching appropriate makeup for going out, appropriate makeup for interviewing, things of that nature. And so that is what I do as a serial entrepreneur. And then I am an independent contractor of the number one skincare company, Mary Kay Cosmetics. I have been for 13 years, where I lead a group of women. I do workshops and different things like that. But it all works together to make sure that that whole person, that we're ministering to that whole person from the inside out. My website is under construction, and so pretty soon you'll be able to book and do different things on my website in conjunction with ordering a version of the book that Sabrina was a co-author of, and I was the forward author of, and I was a co-author. Ladies in Tech and Friends, Volume 4.
There we go, Christal. That's what I wanted to show the people. There we go. There we go. We got us a best-selling book in our hands, ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen.
we do.
Ladies in Tech and Friends, Volume 4, Building Careers Not Meant for Us. This is
Hmm.
the fourth edition in our Ladies in Tech anthology series. This book is a bestseller on Amazon. You can get the digital copy there, or you can contact Christal or myself for a copy for yourself. As Christal mentioned, I am the forward author of this book, and it has been my absolute honor to be a part of all four books in the series. We've got volume 1, Ladies in Tech. All right, we've got Changing the Face of Technology, Volume 2. We've got The Strength and the Strategies and the Lessons of Women Leaders, Volume 3. And let me tell you that four-part book bundle is available for everyone. You can go on our website. I am happy to give you the discount for buy three, get one free. Go to sabrinalowery.com to learn more. Go to Christal's website to purchase your autographed copy from her and show your support. So, we are going to segue into what Christal's chapter was about and her journey here in our book. So, Christal's chapter is titled, just a moment, you all, Dream to Reality, more than a seat at the table where persistence births purpose. Tell everyone about your chapter and how you came about your title.
Okay. So when I began to write my chapter, I thought about the reader on the other end. You know, Sabrina, as you would know, working in tech, we can get techy, right? We can talk about the technology, but my heart went out to the reader on the other end and what that was going to convey to the reader. So I wanted to be transparent in my journey because I started out young, always wanted to work in technology, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. You know, I have this degree now. I'm ready to, I'm ready to delve in. What I was not prepared for was the reality on the other side. A, being a woman, B, being an African American woman, and being transparent, being an African American woman in the South, wanting to delve into technology. I did not, nor was I ever told the difficulties that I would face. So my journey starts out in the book, and you have to get the book to read it. But it talks about how I was so eager and I was so so green and wanting to go in that technology. And because I'm green and eager, everybody was going to accept that. And that was not the reality that I faced. That dream of that little girl looking at those big buildings, driving through Charlotte, downtown Charlotte when I was a little girl. Quickly, once I entered in corporate America, the reality hit me that everybody's not going to want you at their table. And so through my journey, through my career and promotions and working hard and being elevated, I had to look at myself one day and I had to say, and I had to believe and keep that belief that not only am I getting to the table, but I deserve to be at the table. And so I want readers to understand that get the degrees, get the certifications, but also develop the emotional intelligence that you need, and particularly my women, and particularly my women period, but in particular my brown women. Make sure you have the emotional intelligence you need to enter into a world where it may just be you. Out of 23 years, I was thinking the other day, Sabrina, out of 23 years, I can count on my hand the number of women that I have worked with, not just African American women, but the number of women. And then shaving that on down to, in my career, I have only worked with maybe a 5 African American women within the IT industry. So it's just about preparing yourself, understanding what you're getting in and getting into. Don't shy away from it, but just go into it with your back straight, with your knowledge, knowing that your knowledge is your power. Nobody can take that from you, knowing what you will do, knowing your core values, and knowing what you are going to stand for. Because if you don't, the industry will try to develop you into what they want you to be.
That is absolutely correct, Christal. Thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your journey, letting our audience know all about how they can connect with you, learn more about you, your journey, your products, your services, and all the amazing work that you have done in your community. So, I'd like to segue and talk about what's up next. You've had an exciting past couple of weeks. Let's talk about what are you doing next?
What I am doing next, from an entrepreneur, well, actually, I am what I call on my 3 year. Okay, I am on a 3 year plan, and my 3 year plan is to actually kind of segue out of corporate America as it relates into technology. And I'm bridging the gap with my knowledge I've gained in the industry over the years and just taking it other places, maybe a little real estate. That's on the map. We'll see. But basically just on a 3-year plan to make sure my brand, New Dimension Enterprises LLC, is stable and doing what I need it to do. But right now, my biggest thing is, and if you are a young person transitioning from college, if you are a parent and you're listening and you have a young person, I just finished up helping 3 individuals, 2 with a resume, and 1 he actually completed my career readiness program. It's a 4-week program where I do 4 sessions with you, and we do a discovery call. We see what you need, see what you know, get you ready to have that first interview, all the way down to having a mock interview with me, okay, virtually. And so that is really what is next, and holding some more life coaching workshops. I held a workshop in April called EI 6-7, girl, that's 6-7 for those young people 9 to 13. Why? Because while I was in between corporate America and taking a little break, I worked at an after school. And what I understood is, because we're here on these devices, they lack the ability to even play together. Okay. And so I was like, and I ran into an 18-month-old, and I was in the parking lot, 18 months, 3, and maybe 2 years old. I was at the grocery store in the parking lot, and they were in the buggy. Their grandparent had them in the buggy. And the 3-year-old turned around and said, "Oh, you scared me, 6-7." And the 18-month-old started saying 6-7, 6-7. And the other baby, who couldn't have been barely 10 months old, with a pacifier, 6-7. I said, you know what? We're going to 6-7 on some emotional intelligence. That's what we're going to do. And so, and so I had been praying about it. So I did my first workshop. I had about 7 kids, and they absolutely loved it. And it was a space for them to learn and talk, and what we talk about, the parents don't know about. And we have work to do. That's all I'm gonna say. We have work to do on both ends, from the children's end, and from, because being a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old is totally different from when we were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And some people said, Sabrina, 9 and 13, that's a big gap. But that 9-year-old was able to hang in there with that 13-year-old. Yeah. More so even.
Yeah. Oh, and trust and believe that the platforms, that's the range. Mm-hmm. Roblox, that's the range. They're 9 to 18 and adults up in there. So I totally get what you're saying.
So that's just what's it. And I'll be a CC come August, CC being grandma. So that's another thing I got going on.
Oh, look at you. Well, since you want to drop news, I guess I'll drop mine too, sis. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy to announce and report here live on Geek Talk, yours truly officially became a grandmother for the 2nd time on yesterday, June the 8th at 10 a.m. My beautiful granddaughter, Olivia Rachel, has entered the world. Welcome, baby girl. Grandmother loves you. I am so excited. Big sister Sophia is doing great, welcoming her baby sister into the world. And so our family has been blessed with a new addition. So I want everyone to just continue to pray for mom and my son, and that they're healthy and thriving, and everyone is home now and doing amazing.
Awesome.
That's a blessing. Christal, this has been an awesome conversation. I would love for you to just tell the people where they should connect with you and what you would like them to do in order to follow you.
Okay. You can follow me on Facebook, Christal J Rice, how it's spelled on your screen, Christal J Rice on Facebook. I also have a Christal J's, the VIP spot. Now, you have to join the VIP spot and you have to answer the questions in my VIP spot. Those are my customers, my clients, people who've referred me, who connected with me virtually or in person, and they get dibs on what I'm doing before anybody else. My newsletter gets posted there. I do a newsletter every month to let you know what New Dimension Enterprises is doing with every aspect of my business. You can also follow me on Instagram, Christal J, the VIP, TikTok the same, Christal J, the VIP, YouTube as well.
Oh, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Christal. This has been an awesome conversation. When we met doing our collaboration for the
Mhm.
book, when we came together in person at the book launch, we knew that we were kindred spirits and that
Mhm.
we would continue to do life, work, personal together. And I am so excited for your book launch, your new home ownership journey, and
Yes.
all the greatness that has been blessed on you. So, congrats, sis. I am
Thank
so
you.
excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Thank
are so welcome. Please stand by for me, ladies and gentlemen. Christal Rise. This has been amazing, y'all. You know how it is on Geek Talk. We drop a few gems, we share our stories, we let the entrepreneurs know how and where to connect with our subject matter experts on each episode. I want to remind you, you can get the full episode on YouTube, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Podbean, and of course, SabrinaLowery.com. It has been a phenomenal conversation. I want to remind you all again that public service announcement regarding those tax assessments, those tax facts. This information is for the homeowners. Make sure that you are reviewing your tax bills. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here. I want to remind everyone that this is Geek Talk, the Giving Entrepreneurs Expert Knowledge podcast, where you will find us two more episodes remaining. I am closing out the podcast for this season. I will be starting my journey as adjunct professor at Chattahoochee Technical College this fall and teaching real estate for those that are looking to get their real estate license. Connect with me. Go to my website. Follow me on Instagram at Sabrina Lowery. For those that are backstage with me, thank you so much. I want to also remind everyone I am a licensed broker in the state of Georgia, and I am the founder and broker of Legacy Realty and Management.com. If you are looking for a real estate service, whether it's selling, buying, managing property, renting your property, short term rental hosting, please schedule a free consultation by booking a call on my website, Legacy Realty and Management.com. It would be my pleasure to serve. All right. Well, that's about all I have for everyone this evening. I have truly enjoyed you. I want to remind you next Tuesday we will be back live. Let's see. Our next guest will be none other than Maria Thorpe, another contributing author from our Ladies in Tech and Friends anthology. I'm so thankful for your time and look forward to seeing you again. Take care. God bless.